Thank you, Mr. President. Last year, I had the occasion to come 3 times in Ukraine, and exactly 1 year ago, in March last year, we went together to the Donbas. And there in the Donbas, I said, Russia is not a mediator. I said Russia is party to the conflict. And the situation today is showing that I was right. And this morning, I went to Borodyanka in order to witness with my own eyes what's the situation there on the ground. I met people. There are no words in order to explain what I feel, not as president of the European Council, but as father, as human being. These are atrocities. These are war crimes. It must be punished. It will be punished. They must pay for what they have done there in many other cities and other locations in Ukraine. And right now, like you, I think to the people, the soldiers, but also the civilians in the Donbas, in Mariupol, and in other cities who are fighting for their life, who are fighting for the sovereignty of Ukraine, but I know very well, who are fighting for the European values, for the freedom, for the democratic principles. We are determined to do everything we can in order to support Ukraine, because we want the victory of Ukraine. And that's why we will use all the possible tools in our hands. Of course, the financial support is very important. We had the occasion with the President to go more into the details, and that's why we have decided a few weeks ago, after a talk we had by phone, dear President, to launch this trust fund in solidarity with Ukraine. In the following days, it will be the 5th of May. It will be the starting point of this trust fund with this international donor conference that we will organize together with Poland, with Sweden, and with the support of the European Union's Commission, all the member states, but also with the support of many international actors. We are also working closely with international organizations like the IMF, the World Bank, and others in order to make sure that we can mobilize financing support in order for Ukraine to be able to pay the social expenditures that are needed in the short term, in the mid-term, in the longer term, but also, this is very important, in order to start as soon as possible the rebuilding program for the country. And I can assure you that the EU will be on your side in order to rebuild the country. We discussed today very strategic and interesting ideas, very operational and concrete ideas in order to accelerate the process, and I'm optimistic that in the following days and weeks we will be able to clarify the exact nature of the support that we will be able to provide also in order to succeed when we discuss the rebuilding of the countries and the investments that are needed in infrastructures and in the different fields. The second important topic is the military support. And for the first time in history, the EU has decided to provide little military equipment for the first time in history. It was a decision taken 2 days after the start of the war. I remember very well. I will never forget, because you, Volodymyr Zelensky, you called me on Saturday, 2 days after the start of the war, and you asked me to coordinate the effort in order to start to provide military equipment. And we succeeded to convince the European Union's member states in a few hours to provide military equipment. We decided a first tranche of 500 million euros. Today, we have decided 1.5 billion euros in military equipment, and day after day, in close consultation with you, we are trying to convince member states to add bilateral support in order to make sure that what we provide is what you need, and we discuss very precisely what are the needs and how we are able to make sure that we can provide with the EU's member states and other partners the means that are needed in order to fight and in order to win this war. The third point is the political support. And I would like to say here that, of course, I understand and I show full respect for the free and democratic decision taken by the government of Ukraine when you decide to apply in order to be an EU member. We have decided to task the Commission immediately, only in a few days. Usually it takes 8 months in order for the Commission to publish an opinion. We are in close contact on the substance. We will have this opinion of the Commission by the end of June, and it will be my responsibility to assess when I can put this point on the agenda of the European Council and the Council in order to make sure that we have the political discussion, the political dialogue in order to make progress in this part. But I want to share with you that I feel a very strong support in order to make sure that we can provide a concrete support to Ukraine in your choice to follow this EU's path for your own future. And I'm convinced that what you are demonstrating day to day is a demonstration that you are totally committed for democratic principle, for the freedoms, and you don't fight only for the future of the children of Ukraine. We know that you fight for the European fundamental principles and values. And then we are also determined to provide humanitarian support, and we are determined to provide support in order to make sure that international justice and justice will prevail, because there is no peace without justice. That's why it's very important to collect the evidence and to support all the actors who are working in this important field. Finally, we had the occasion to discuss the sanctions, because we think that we must put pressure on the regime, on the Kremlin. We have decided many concrete measures. This is not enough, and that's why we are constantly working in order to increase the pressure. And again, today, we had the occasion to go more into the details and to identify some additional elements in order for us to put proposals on the table of the Council and to be able to maintain the maximum pressure on Russia. Finally, one last word. Dear President, dear Vladimir, we met for the first time about 3 or 4 years ago, and this was the starting point of a personal relationship based on trust and confidence. I want to tell you that I am, and we are extremely impressed by your personal leadership. And your personal leadership is also showing the bravery and the courage of the people of Ukraine. You are not alone. We are with you, and we will do everything which is possible to support you and to make sure that Ukraine will win the war. Thank you.